I was watching a podcast today of Hilary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, and they were explaining and justifying U.S. interventionism. And the basic point of their argument was kind of something along the lines of, oh, if Gaddafi starts killing his people, are we just supposed to take a step back and watch? If Putin invades his neighbor, are we just supposed to take a step back and watch? And I was, for a second, I was no longer a conspiracy theorist. And I started to entertain the idea that the way the state works is that it's just filled with people who like genuinely do reason that way and have convinced themselves of that line of reasoning because it immediately makes sense to them. Now, when you introduce history to the mix, see, my impression is that Hillary Clinton is just a very stupid, uneducated woman. For the first time, I no longer saw her as the epitome of a conspirator who's behind the scenes and worshiping Moloch and all that kind of stuff. I genuinely saw her as just like a stupid, superficial woman who can't think past, maybe a decade or two of history. Because at the immediate level, and by the way, modern is another word for immediate. So at this immediate modern level, you're right. Oh yeah, Gaddafi's doing this to his people. We have to do something about it. She said, imagine we're in the Situation Room and you're being told, oh, North Korea's flying missiles over our ally Japan. China's bolstering its navy in the blue waters. We have to do something about it. What do you want us to do? Just sit back with our hands tied behind our back? And I found this perspective so I found it so disturbing, right? Because to me, the way I was looking at it is that this is actually how they see things. This is how they experience it. Insight into history is not there. Who cares about the past? Who cares about history? Who cares about the conditions of these things and their context? It's happening now. We have to respond. And this is the perspective of the people running the American empire, right? We can't step back and just let it happen. Well, why were you stepping there in the first place? Why do you have to step back? Why were you even there in the first place? Oh, of course we're there. Because our noosphere, the projection of our mind, spans the entire globe. All the time and always as an extension even of just our knowledge of anything. We are always and already in a position of uniting our knowledge and consciousness of the world with the means with which to practically intervene within it. So when these people see Putin invading Ukraine, they say, what are we just going to sit back and do nothing? Well, you think of yourself having to stand back in the first place because you're already too close. You're already too close because you have projected with your mind, the noosphere, right? The entire globe is your concern. It's your affair. You are already involved in it. It's already your business. Not even because you have military bases around the world and because systemically you're already involved in there, but because you have made no distinction between your knowledge of the world and the world itself. And that is the real secret of the American empire. It's the discourse of the university, as Lacan put it. The knowledge our institutions have of reality and reality itself have to be united as the same thing. I reflected, and I'm a very introspective person. The thing that has guided me consistently throughout my entire journey, ideologically and politically, is, and I didn't even always realize this, right? I will never take a breath living without fighting this empire. That's what I'm fucking here for. Now, why do I want to fight the empire? Because I don't believe its lies. I don't believe them. I don't believe the lies they say. I choose to remember something. When I was a Shia Islamist, I chose to remember the martyrdom of Imam Hussein. And when I was a communist, I chose to remember the sacred history of communism and martyrs like Che Guevara and the Chinese communists who fought, and the Russian communists who fought the Nazis and who fought in the Civil War and who fought in the revolution. But it's always been about memory. It's always been about the American modernity, which says, here and now, we must do something, we must do something. No, we must not do something. We cannot do anything. Because we are not here. Our truth is in the past. Hilary Clinton said, I want to overthrow Gaddafi. Because what am I going to do? Supposed to step back and let him kill his own people? Who are you? Who the fuck are you to be there in the first place? How did you get there? How did you get there? How did you get there? What is your history? What is your past? What is your tradition, bitch? You have none. You have no tradition. So you think you're here. You're always here. You have no past and no tradition. You are pure contemporaneity and pure modernity. Putin invaded Ukraine. Are we supposed to sit back and do nothing? What were you doing before Putin invaded Ukraine? Why were you there? Why were you there in the first place? You forgot that. You want to make us forget. I refuse to forget. I choose to remember. That's the meaning of memory. It's one continuous gaslighting. It's one continuous gaslighting. We are supposed to pretend we are here and now. We are not here and now. Now is not here. Now is somewhere else. That is the beginning of tradition. That is the flame of tradition. Tradition, many people have this confused. Tradition doesn't mean I'm going to jack off to neoclassical aesthetics on Twitter. Tradition means I will form a chain of memory. I will cohere the here and now with what was then. I will make not only now meaningful, but where I came from, where I am going, and where I am here now, part of one indivisible absolute. That's what tradition means. Tradition means I remember where I came from, how I got here in the first place. And only upon remembering how I got here in the first place can I have the right to answer the question, what now must I do? What now must I do is because I remember how I got here in the first place. I do not have an unconditional modernity. I do not have an unconditional contemporaneity. My modernity meaning here, right? Here and now. Contemporaneity. This delivers me to my origins. I refuse to continue to take flight from them. This is why I am a communist and nothing else. And it's this modernity of here and now. Forget where you came from. Don't remember anything. Let's go get more healthcare. Let's get that healthcare, right? We have to. People are dying. Vote for Joe Biden. People are dying. Harm reduction. Harm reduction? You can get on your fucking knees and choke on my fucking dick. I don't live in your situation room. Here is not, now is not here. Now is not here. We have to vote! It's It's harm reduction. No, you suck my cock. Now is not here. You act like Hillary did in the Situation Room when she felt like she had to make the choice of whether to step back and do nothing when Gaddafi was killing his own people. What if it was never your fucking place to do anything, bitch? It's not my place to vote. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? The angst of activism, of acting now. That is the lie of American modernity. And to me, communism has always meant the opposite of that. It's not a praxis with which to act at all. That's what it was always about for me. Modernity is like this endless refresh button. Refresh, 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 refresh. I want you to think of what modernity really means. Instead of thinking of modernity as an era, modernity is always ever... See, for example, modernity is not, okay, beginning in 1700, that's the modern era. No. Modernity is a refresh button. Constant, constant, constant refresh. Constantly refreshing, right? Constant liquidation. Constantly trying to reset the slate and reset the timeline. Yeah, modernity is every Monday. That's a good way of putting it, actually, believe it or not. Constant refresh. But the significance of Marxism is that even while you're refreshing, you're still seeing the same thing. So the significance of Marxism, as far as this constant refreshing is concerned, is actually quite simple. Marxism wants us to remember all of the things that show up when the page appears and some content starts to show up on the page. We refreshed it. And then it shows up again, and we refreshed it. And then Marxism stopped, and it said, wait a second, there's something on this page. There's something here. You know the movie Groundhog Day, where someone relives the same day over and over again? All Marxism is the red pill that says, you were already here. Here's why this day keeps repeating. Because this is what matters about this day. There's a symptom, there's a problem that results in this day constantly getting refreshed. And by being able to remember that problem, you can actually see tomorrow come to pass.